Hello and welcome to the Great Legal Mind Show. This is Aman Abbas. Today we have with us Mr. Sanjay Hegde, Senior Advocate, Supreme Court of India, and we will be, knowing a little more about, Mr. Hegde as a person, his background, and what are the things that motivates him, and how can we be motivated by the kind of work he is doing. So, Mr. Hegde, a very warm welcome to the show.
Thank you, Aman, for having me again.
I just wanted to actually start by asking you if you could tell me a little about your background. One of the things that I saw was very interesting. I mean, your father was also an accomplished lawyer, but you also qualified for the civil services. So, how did that choice was made of being a lawyer? But let's start with, your early days, and then we'll go back to this very interesting aspect.
No, I grew up in Bombay. I went to a Christian school, the Don Bosco school in Matunga out there. I went back to my hometown, Udupi, for 5 years, did my college there, and that gave me a solid grounding into my roots. Came back after that, I came to Bombay, finished my law. While doing my law, I joined a solicitor's firm that was one of the oldest solicitors firms that was there, Mulla and Craigie, Blunt and Caro. Somewhere along that line, somebody suggested that I could do the civils. I was writing the civils from a non-traditional area. In Bombay, not many people write the civil services exam. Not many people know about it.
Yeah.
So
that is not the choice of the youngsters at any given point of time
out there in Bombay.
Yeah.
So I really didn't know how to handle the exams. But after a couple of attempts, I went through for an interview. I had some bad marks in the interview, which probably by speaking too much.
And you knew that you wanted to become a lawyer.
So as a consequence, my ranking went down low. I got a allied service. So I had a choice of that. But in the meanwhile, I got an opportunity to join the then Attorney General, Mr. G. Ramaswamy, and he was a brilliant man. Mr. Ram Jetmalani had in an interview at that point of time said that if he was in legal trouble, he'd go to G. Ramaswamy. Wow. So, given that nature of the man, I saw that there was a chance. I joined him, but I kept my job on hold for a couple of years. I wasn't sure that I could make it in law. After a couple of years, I let that go and I stayed on. So that's how I became a lawyer. It was a choice, not necessarily a only choice or a first choice, but it was something that was always a possibility on the horizon.
That was a fairly independent choice. I mean, and not with the influence of your father, which generally happens here.
Yes, no, my father was
a lawyer, then you become lawyer. There's a doctor, then you become a doctor. That's how we have.
Yes, no, my father was in Bombay. He had a decent practice, but it was not necessarily a roaring practice. We were 5 children, and my mother at that point of time just did not want me to be a lawyer. Okay. And both my parents were aghast at the fact that I was throwing away a life of relative certainty for the uncertainty of litigation.
Right, absolutely. So, and now, in fact, now I think, and how did you move to Delhi from Bombay then?
No, I moved to Delhi because I was working with the Attorney General and the Supreme Court is in Delhi.
Okay. Now, so, what defines you now, Mr. Hegde? I mean, if you could give me 3-4 adjectives, 3-4 words that define you as a person.
As a person, it's a different thing. As a lawyer, I think I'm relatively independent. I also like to satisfy myself about any position in law before I argue it in court. I am not economical with the truth in court. I believe it is a lawyer's job to put the best possible defense in the facts of any case for his client, but I do not think it's his job to lie for the client.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that a lot of people needed to kind of understand. Now, let me ask you a question that I, I mean, what is the area of law which is closest to your heart? I mean,
I don't say closest to my heart, but it's uh, what is it that turns you on, or what is it that you have the most fun in? Are
absolutely.
they so? Two areas are curiously enough things that I did my LLM in. One is the Constitution, and doing a Constitution bench is a separate high. So I have done quite a few. I was fortunate that I had 10 years as the standing counsel of the state of Karnataka, and I used to argue most of my matters. And so I've even argued a 7 judge bench matter. So handling all that is fun. And criminal law, because criminal law is something that I learnt on the job. Justice Thomas, K.T. Thomas, was the one who put me on the right track, saying, okay, make out a chart, tell me who the witnesses are, where are they referred to, in what page, and how do they interact. So, the art of criminal law is often of reconstructing A, the crime, B, the investigation, and C, the legal process that occurs thereafter. And then picking, if you are for the defense, picking holes and saying that the case has fallen apart, or if you're for the prosecution, seeing to it that the case doesn't fall apart.
And I think let's pick up, one of the most talked about cases, the horrific Nirbhaya matter that happened, and tell me something about your experiences, because I think it's a combination of whole lot of things. It's a combination of law, it is a combination of crime, it is a combination of a lot of emotions, it's a combination of a lot of media glare at that point of time. What has been the experience like doing that matter?
See that I was appointed along with Mr. Raju Ramchandran as an amicus curiae to assist the court in the matter. But uh, as amicus, obviously, I was also to uh, do as good a defense as possible for the accused. You must remember that they were being represented by individual lawyers, but possibly due to reasons of their status, their lack of money, they could not necessarily afford lawyers who were very well known.
Right.
So the court wanted to be absolutely certain. So they appointed me and Mr. Ramachandran. We divided the work among ourselves. Mr. Ramachandran addressed them on the sentencing aspect of it, whereas I addressed them on the merits of the argument, of the case itself. And it was a tough case. It ultimately, all the four accused who were before the Supreme Court were hanged. Uh, I still think that there was a great amount of group think in the matter. Even now, you refer to it as the Nirbhaya case.
Yeah.
Nobody refers to it as the Mukesh case or the Akshay case.
Right.
So each of those four individuals who were fighting for their lives uh, all got clumped together, and everybody became responsible for what everybody else did.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, the incident, from the time that the lady and her friend stepped onto the bus till the time that they were thrown out of the bus, roughly approximates about 20 odd minutes. There were 6 people on the bus, other than these two.
Other than these two, okay.
So I and two of them were beyond the Supreme Court. One was a juvenile, the other had died in jail. I still, after having read all the evidence and everything, I'm still unable to say with absolute certainty as to who did both the rape and the murder. Some may have been
Then
part of
one
the rape,
part on the other. Yeah.
others uh, may have participated in holding down people, or may not have participated, or may have just been on the bus on that joyride. But the end result was, when there was so much of a media glare and so much of uh, a focus on the victim, I am not sure that this was where I could say with beyond all reasonable doubt that every one of those four deserved the ultimate
Deserve the
punishment.
ultimate punishment. So supposing, let me ask you a hypothetical question. Supposing one out of these four people was let out, who would have gotten the blame from the sentiments that were flowing in the country? It's the
I,
court, it's the police,
it would depend on the
or how would you?
on how what logic was given. If you must remember that even when a prime minister of India was shot dead, not everybody who was uh, arraigned as an accused and sentenced by the trial court and the high court was finally hanged.
Right,
There was an acquittal from the Supreme Court.
right, absolutely.
Balbir Singh, if I remember rightly, was the gentleman who was
Yeah,
let
he
off,
was let off. Yeah.
and Kehar Singh and Satwant Singh were hanged.
Yeah. Okay. Now let me ask you another question. That when I think a lot of matters that you do, there's a lot of media glare, on those matters, on you as well. When you're out of that glare, what is it that you would love doing?
I actually I like the city of Delhi. I'm a history buff, and I can possibly take you around the gullies of old Delhi, and I can tell you stories of this happened this time in the year 1800 and something, or I could take you for a walk from Balimaran to Ajmeri Gate, where the old Anglo-Persian school, the the Indo-Persian school was, where Ghalib. So I could possibly trace events in Ghalib's life as I took you for a walk, or there was one walk I conducted which included various sites of various women in history, and it's actually on one lane, one straight line from Turkman Gate right up to this Lal Kuma.
Okay.
So you have Razia Sultan, you have Kamla Nehru, who got married there. Then you had Mubarak Begum, who was Indian wife of General Okterluni, who was the resident in the Mughal court.
Oh, okay.
And then you have Zinat Mahal, who at age 16 married a 65-year-old Bahadur Shah Zafar. You have Madhubala.
Oh, Madhubala is there? Was there?
Yeah,
He was there?
Madhubala was born there,
Was born
and
there.
there is a kheer shop out there.
Some very interesting anecdotes. I think that calls for one walk actually. If you look at it, yeah, yeah. So now I think I'll ask you another interesting question. I think what is happening now is that speaking your own mind is actually bringing a lot of pushback if you actually look at it. I mean, I think your Twitter account got suspended and whatnot. So, so how do you deal with these kind of things?
बोल के लब आज़ाद है तेरे, बोल के ज़ुबान अब तक तेरी है.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I think this is the couplet that I think should be written in bold, to be hanged everywhere so that people know that they should actually speak up to kind of, to say the truth basically. Thank you so much, Mr.
Thank you,
Hegde.
Aman.
It was a wonderful conversation with you.
Thank you. I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it too, sir. Thank you so much. That was Mr. Hegde once again on the Great Legal Mind show. Thank you so much for watching. See you again.